umpires are heading straight off to this rather mysterious area.
I know.
And it seems incredible that this patch, which is just within the boundary at deep point.
It's like the Aegeus Triangle.
Yeah, it seems amazing that this should be causing so much interest, but it is. There's a heater on there at the moment. It is so far from the pitch that you wonder quite why that there's the concerns out there. But there's a heater blowing on it, and there's a groundsman there with his fork, and over they come. And once again, we go through this procedure of sort of pressing heavily with one's foot.
Yes.
And that's just basically what the umpires have been doing for much of the day. Off they go.
It's like the universal sort of sign, isn't it?
Yeah, lots of prodding and poking around. And they're hoping to start at 4:15. So the England players are going through their routines there. I mean, it's a funny inspection. You don't normally get one quite so soon after the previous one, and then with play starting quite so quickly afterwards. So this has been some sort of miracle over there performed.
Why are they all doing that?
I don't know.
Everyone's out ready to play, and the umps are still wandering around prodding and poking with their feet.
It's very, very strange.
It's a bit like a salsa basic, that is.
Is it?
Yeah, where you sort of put 1 foot down and then 1 foot down. They're all having a little sort of rain dance.
Yeah, perhaps they're all putting a bid in for this year's Strictly. Well, they're heading off, and it would be totally bizarre if they now announce that the match is off.
Well, no, that will be weird.
So everything's done. The stumps are in. The two members, the two women of ground staff here have been putting out the sawdust. They're scattering that around there from a yellow bucket, and that's being swept in. And so, the two on-field umpires are heading off, presumably to go and report back to the captains and say what they've decided to do, which we think is that they'll start play at 4:15.
7 balls he's got, John.
Yes.
I think he's going to do it. I do.
Well, he could well do. I mean,
7 balls.
He's loosening up and he's getting ready to go.
He's had all those catches dropped off him. I think it would just be the cricketing gods smiling down on him if he just gets it now as the quickest one to 600.
Well, umpire Goff is heading off towards the England camp. Umpire Illingworth. But he can't really break. There's a Pakistani huddle going on there. He's a bit reluctant to break into it. By the look of it, but I think he's passed the message on anyway, and whatever that is, we'll get confirmation of it. But it's flashed up on screen here. Play to start at 4:15. So, do you say 42 overs? Is that what they were talking about?
I think so, yeah.
42 overs. Now, if there's no prospect of a result, then they can come off at the start of the last hour. So, 27 overs will have to be bowled. And I suspect Jimmy Anderson might just start from one end and just bowl from there until he gets it.
Well, I think so. I mean, it sort of turned into that. Nice little subplot, though, as you say, about the 7 balls to become the fastest to 600, and that's in front of all the spinners, Mullaratharun and Kumble and Warne and what have you. So that's going to be some achievement. And so is the 600. I mean, it's just absolutely phenomenal.
I was watching, while we were waiting here, a feature on the telly.
Yeah.
And it's incredible. I mean, I'm sure everyone's action changes, but his really has been transformed. Not just his bowling action, but his run-up.
Yeah.
Actually, if you look at the old footage that I was watching just there, and just saw it from behind, and you didn't know who was bowling, you wouldn't think it was James Anderson. No. It's amazing how it's changed and been refined, shortened, and actually the strides shortened as well. He used to run in great long strides, and some remarkable hairdos.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I can remember the skunk, the red tips and everything.
But these ones, I mean, Kevin Peterson went through that phase, but only once of that hair. But I think of all the cricketers, certainly of this generation, I can remember, I think he has changed his hair more than any of them.
Well, I mean, he's been around for 17 years.
Well, he has.
So you're going to go through a few hairdos, aren't you? You're going to go through a few sort of bowling changes just through sort of natural evolution, I suppose, if you play for that amount of time.
Well, it does feel that he's destined to get it, and that this storm came. Obviously, the forecasts were terrible, and it somehow, miraculously, there's this little window that's opened up, and it does give him the chance to get this 600th wicket. So Yeah, it's just as if it's been curated for him. Somebody's smiling down on him, and they haven't been smiling down on him really for much of this match, because he's had so many catches dropped.
Well, he would have beaten the 700, wouldn't he?
He would have been there.
I mean, not the 7. I mean, he would have beaten the amount of balls. Sorry, I mean,
7. Yeah, absolutely. Now,
do you take that?
We've got a light roller trundling up and down.
Yeah.
So that's the request of Pakistan, who've just got to make sure they don't slip up here. How many overs was Sri Lanka bowled out in Cardiff?
There we go.
And there's always been a little bit of a question mark about that game.
He said he just sat down.
Well, he'll find out. But what I was going to say was just got to be careful.
Oh yes, you don't want to go out there and lose a couple of 3-1s, a couple of 2 or 3 quick wickets at the start of play, because then that just sort of starts sending a few little shivers through the dressing room. I mean, that's what's England do. As we sit here now, it's probably looking like a draw, isn't it? The pitch hasn't done too much, but you don't want a couple of rush shots, and anything could happen.
Yeah.
And that's what England, I'm sure the team talk, with which I've had it many times, is it's only 7 balls or 8 balls or however many, 8 balls to get 8 wickets.
Yeah.
And that is the case in cricket, so you never know.
The Pakistanis have to make sure that they completely focus.
Yeah.
They haven't switched off and so on, and that they just don't get caught here.
Yeah.
They're playing a bit of football at the moment, actually, a bit of long-range football. So they're loosening up. I think a little Mushtaq, he's scuttling around there with his very long beard these days.
Yeah, it is.
He's back with Pakistan again as their bowling coach.
But it can happen, John, as you know. We've been in dressing rooms when you sort of you do switch off. We've had a long break, and mentally they would have had half an eye on the radar as well, and sort of been thinking, this is going to just peter out into a draw. And sometimes it is difficult to then switch yourself back on after such a long delay.
Now, Ollie Pope, I think I see down there, not in his whites, but because of course he damaged his shoulder in the field. But I did see him yesterday, and whether this is a good sign, I think it probably is. I did see him walking off below us here with a rucksack on his back with sort of two straps.
Nice.
So there was a strap over his damaged shoulder, to carry the rucksack.
It wasn't holding it together.
No, and he wasn't in any sort of sling or anything like that.
No, well, that's good news.
So that looked to be very promising. Yasser Shah is having a few throwdowns. I think if he comes into bat, it will be interesting, because England would have knocked out the top order. Well,
and that is the other thing, this Pakistan tail, and that's what England will be thinking, is that 9, 10, 11, you'd think you could pretty much blow away. Yasir kind of plays in one way, which is aggressive, but can bat. I don't think he'll necessarily change the way he plays. So England will be thinking, come on, 3, maybe 4 wickets, and then we're home here.
And as you calculated, if England do win, they go to second in the World Test Championship.
Yeah, I have been just back in my room getting all that sorted out in my own head.
Here comes Winston. He's had his walk. He's been around the terrace. He's just the most enthusiastic little fellow, and he's wagging. Look at his tail going. His tail's absolutely going like the clappers, and he's sniffing around everywhere. He goes to see everybody. He jumps up and says hello. He is the most enthusiastic little spaniel, and he's gone for his constitutional there around the ground. What was funny was that he could see his dad, as it were, the groundsman, from very long range. And so whenever he was talking to the umpires or coming into view, Winston was desperate to get out there and go and see him. But he would just sit, panting with his tail wagging, waiting. That's my dad. And now he's off towards the groundsman's shed, and probably he'll be reunited with the groundsman, and all will be well. But that's nice. No, it's Andy. How many overs was it?
That test in Cardiff, Sri Lanka were bowled out in 24.4 overs, 82 all out. Anderson was playing in that game, was not fit to bowl in Sri Lanka's second innings. Broad 2 for 21. Tremlett, a superb speller, 4 for 40 and 4 for 16 from Graham Swan. There were 55 overs and they came back out after the rain, and England batted on to let Ian Bell get a century, and I think that was viewed with some as questionable at the time, but in the end England won quite comfortably.
Yes, it was a very, very strange afternoon. It absolutely collapsed. So that is clearly what Pakistan have to avoid here.
Yep.
Mike Burns is looking at his watch. He's the 4th umpire, and I think he's looking at his watch. He's got to time precisely how long that little roller. Can you hear it? It's a squeaky roller, and it's just crying out for some WD-40.
Yeah.
That's a squeaky roller.
Yeah,
it's coming backwards now, being pulled by one member of the ground staff. I don't know. How much good is that?
I don't know. That's obviously the light roller.
That's what it is. It's not got much more weight, I think, than an empty Coke can. No. But we've got Jerusalem now as well, and so not drowning out the squeaky roller. That would drive you mad. Do you like squeaks and rattles? I mean, they drive you crazy.
Yeah, drive me crazy. Yeah, definitely.
That needs some WD-40.
It's out of my knees.
Well, for the last time this summer, at a test match at least.
Yeah.
We'll have Jerusalem. It has been a very strange test series. 2 of them, of course, 6 test matches. Very alien for everybody involved, but they've happened. They've taken place, and that's I guess is the bottom line, literally, in the case of the finances of English cricket. And so again, I think worth mentioning and passing on gratitude to the West Indians and also the Pakistanis and also now the Australians too for coming out and making this summer possible. Because without their cooperation and the cooperation of their governments, then I don't know what sort of state English cricket would be in. So.
Yeah, I'd personally just like to say thank you myself, actually, for the West Indies for coming over. This is Test cricket. I know, as you say, the Australians are coming out, and Pakistan, and to the England team. You know, we were facing a pretty bleak summer of not having Test cricket.
Absolutely.
Weren't we? So I'd just like to pat everyone on the back and our good selves as well.
Indeed.
Yes.
You've more or less maintained your sanity in the bubble, I think. We've kept an eye on you.
Well, yes. I mean, there's been a few wobbles, hasn't there? Knocking
well,
about.
There have been a few wobbles. Everyone's had a few wobbles. It has not been an easy situation for anybody, but I think we've all kept each other going pretty well in the main.
Yeah.
The umpire's ready to come out, and Mr. Burns is heading off. He can have a cup of tea, get his feet up, and so on, because he won't have a lot to do, I don't think. But, out they come. We didn't think this would happen this morning either.
No.
But they're coming out, and funnily enough, the sun is shining at the moment. There's some blue sky just to our right-hand side. The wind is blowing, and maybe that's helped dry things up as well. There are 1 or 2 areas of concern. I think we'll see the fielders being a little bit careful, and actually the bowler this end too.
Yeah.
There was they brought out the heater again, that burner, to try and dry out a patch worryingly about where the bowler takes off. So you've got to be careful about that. And well, the sun's shining and all is well with the world, it would seem, as the players come out and Jerusalem reaches its familiar climax.
Boom.
And normally there'll be applause and everyone will be up. And it's a reminder that this is not as usual. Anyway, what have we got? Jimmy Anderson's got his sunglasses on. He's got a smile on his face. He's talking to Jofra Archer at the moment. Stuart Broad's there as well, clapping his hands together. He didn't seem very pleased. He walked out below us here and I shouted, "Come on, Stuart, it'll do a bit."
Yes.
And he didn't seem to be
glad.
He did a bit. So he's urging them on by the look of it. He's saying, "Come on." And who is going to bowl? Who's going to bowl from which end? That's the question.
Well, I'd be seriously worried
Archer.
if it was Jofra Archer from this in for that reason that you said, John, because there is a bit of a slope, isn't there? Where and then all that rain we had must have just sort of run down that bit of slope, and as you say, they were forking it and spiking it there.
Yep.
You don't want one of your main threats running up and doing himself a mischief.
Well, it's going to be Archer who's bowling from this end. So the other side of the heater, and there's some extra work done to it. But
be careful, first couple.
Yeah, he will, I think. So presumably Anderson will bowl from the far end, and that was where he got his wicket from, his 599th when he had Abid Ali LBW. So it's 100 for 2. There's 42 overs. Pakistan can't win, of course, but England need 8 wickets to win this match. It's an unlikely scenario, you imagine, but having just looked at the overs there, if it does come to it, they could take a new ball if they had to polish off anyone down in the sort of nether regions of the Pakistan batting lineup. And this is strange. He's going to start off by bowling to this short field, as it were. He's bowling to Azhar Ali, and he bowls short, and Azhar Ali ducks underneath it. And the ball goes plopping through to wicketkeeper Butler. This is odd because it's the start of an innings as far as Az is concerned, and they're going straight to the short pitched attack.
Yeah.
So they've got a very fine third man, a deepish backward point. There's no slip. Root himself is at gully, broad mid off. They've got quite a deep short leg, a mid wicket, a square leg, a deep backward square leg, and a fine leg. So the orders here, obviously, to bowl short. Then goes Archer, does that too, and as is on the back foot, playing that delivery away out to Broad, who's fielding at cover.
He's had a bit of a shortened run of Archers there, just to slowly ease himself into it.
Looks like it. It's got into quite a stiff breeze.
Yeah.
Well, you surprised by the tactic and the field setting?
Yes, he's starting in his innings, and that's when you bowl at the top of off stump, try and get the outside edge or hit him on the pad. But he's taken all of those modes of dismissals out of the equation, and now he's come back over the wicket.
Going over the wicket, but still with the same field. Archer's on his way, bowls to Azhar Ali, another bouncer, which Azhar simply ducks underneath.
Sometimes, I must admit, I think this England side is really making progress, you know what I mean? You can really see the pieces of the jigsaw coming together. But then sometimes there are little passages of play which you just can't quite fathom out.
Little head-scratching moments.
Yeah.
This is one.
Yes, it is. Not a slip.
No.
To your fastest bowler.
But he has to bowl short with this field, really. I suppose he could pitch one up with Broad there, fairly wide, he's around extra cover. Archer on his way, bowls short of a length, and that's pushed away too Broad in that direction there, in the offside.
Oh well, what do we know?
No, it's an odd one.
Yeah, you always say, start of sessions, end of sessions are the time that you can get your wickets. Azhar Ali's been sitting in the change room all day. Just put one on top of off stump and with a couple of slips. Weird.
Yes, it is. Sun's still with us. The Seagulls have left, by the way. And Archer, no, he gives that one up. He was coming in.
That's the wind,
and then he abandoned that, and he got a big gust. And I'm looking up at the flag. There's two flags. And they're pulling away a bit.
They've all gone back to the coast, the Seagulls.
They have.
Yeah, it's calmed down a bit.
Trousers are normally a giveaway. Let's see how windy it is. And Don Bess is a fluttering there a bit at wide mid-on, well, mid-wicket really. Archer moves in again, bowls short, and it doesn't get up very high. He's not particularly hostile. And Azhar retreats there, keeping himself out of the way.
And just another thing, I totally agree with you about the tactic and what have you, but and Archer doesn't look like he particularly enjoys doing it. You know what I mean? He's sort of like, oh well, I've got to do this, so I'm just going to run in and bowl it halfway down. You know what I mean? You've got to have, you can't just be told what to do all the time. You know what I mean? I'm a bit of a better bowler than that, Skipper.
He's got so many skills.
Yes, exactly.
Off he goes again to complete the over. It's short, flung down the leg side, and that's England's tactic from this end anyway. It might work, but it would be very surprising if one of these two batsmen succumbed to that in the situation.
Yeah, it was a bit like sometimes when I was told as a left arm spinner sort of like bowl over the wicket into the rough, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you sort of sit there and go, well, listen, I don't mind doing it for the team, you know what I mean, and everything, but, I kind of wouldn't mind just having a little go around the wicket, you know? I sort of did it, not forlornly, but, the state of the game is that you need people out.
Well, James Anderson peels off his jumper.
Here we go.
He runs his hand through his hair and is going to bowl from the far end. He's taken 599 Test wickets, and he's aiming to become the first fast bowler to take 600. It's as if this little session has been created just for him. So there's no guarantee he'll get it here today, of course.
The fast bowling gods, do you think?
Well, somebody's smiled. Now, what are the field? He's only got one slip.
I don't understand.
It's almost as if they've given up with this ball. I know there was some chuntering yesterday, having spoken to one or two of them from long range about the ball getting so soft.
Here we go.
So Anderson's bowling to Babar from that far end. Up he comes now and bowls, and it's turned away down to long legs. That's one of the 7. Tucked away down to long leg.
We're counting down.
Well, it would be remarkable if he were to beat all the spinners.
Well, that would be number one.
Yeah.
That's numero uno
Yeah.
in the world, in Test cricket. Fastest ever.
To get to 600, yeah.
Yeah.
101 for 2 as a siren wailing somewhere. As Anderson walks very slowly back to his mark once again. And now he turns, the sun behind cloud, and he moves in and bowls to Azhar Ali, who comes forward and plays that carefully, very deliberately, for Broad to field at extra cover. He's got his bandana on, of course, and a long sleeve sweater.
The only trouble is, John, he's got a couple of very fine players at the crease.
Well, he has.
Azhar Ali and Babar Azam. Couple of rip roarers they are.
Both vulnerable to that ball coming into their pads, though, and I'm sure that's what Anderson will be trying to do. The wind's blowing, rather putting Azhar off now. He's about to face his 100th ball. Anderson from the far end moves in and bowls to Azhar nicely forward. And again, Broad's the fielder, kicking the ball up with his boot at cover.
Come on, Jimmy. Sorry, I should be impartial, but
A little bit of reverse swing there.
A little bit.
Looking at the replay.
I'm willing him on. He's been such a servant to England for 17 years.
Well, it's lovely hearing Glenn McGrath say those things about him this morning.
Yeah, wonderful. I mean, and Glenn is top notch.
Yeah. Anderson turns again. Azhar Ali on strike. Up he comes and he bowls and he moves into line and pushes the ball away into the offside. A little short of that one. So Azhar didn't get onto the front foot. He played rather from the crease. Pakistan 209 runs behind. They're batting to save the game. And England need 8 wickets from the time that remains now. Anderson not really running in hard yet. He's on his way once again. Azhar on 29. Anderson's on his way and he bowls too. He plays out very late, pushing the offside, going for a quick single. But a little bit of uncertainty there as they set off. But, 1 run completed. Bracey fielding for Pope. 102 for 2. With 1 ball to go in the over. With Babar now on strike.
Oh, you've seen Ollie Pope, have you?
Yes.
Yeah.
He's just looking on his... Well,
probably might have been halfway up the M3.
Muffled up. 102 for 2. Here's the last ball of the over. Anderson on the way, moves in, bowls the right-handed Babar, who drives, doesn't really time that, and is picked up at mid-on by Sibley, and another over passes. Anderson again just runs his hand through his hair. 102 for 2. Azhar Ali on 30, Babar Azam on 5, and so there's 40 overs to be bowled, or it could be called off after 25, I think I'm saying, aren't I?
Shake a hand.
I thought it was 27 and 15. 27 overs
yes.
then the last 15. This record that you're talking about is the fewest overs taken to reach 600 wickets. The 3 bowlers who've reached 600, Anil Kumble, Shane Warne and Matthias Muralitharan. Kumble reached 600 in his 6,416th over.
Let's watch Archer bowling to Azhar, who pitches this one up this time. It's pushed gently back to him by the Pakistan captain. There's no run.
That was in his 124th test for India. Shane Warne, the great Australian leg spinner, in his where he took 5,820 overs to take his 600th wicket. That was in his 126th match. And Muralitharan 5,618.3 overs. As Azhar Ali pulls away and delays the next delivery. It was Muralitharan's 101st match for Sri Lanka. Anderson's in his 156th, so they've taken the same amount of balls roughly, but Muralitharan have bowled a lot more in each of his games.
Now, the reason Azhar Ali pulled away though is because a man has gone back to deepish square leg, not all the way. Archer bowls short, and Azhar lets it go by again, and Archer's swinging his arms there in a sort of way. It sort of suggested I'm not sure if he's enjoying this very much. He's bowling into a very strong wind, and he's been obviously instructed, because the field has been set, just to run up and bowl a series of bouncers,
which aren't particularly skipping off a very, very slow pace.
Well, they're not coming off very quickly, But B, Azhar Ali is simply not engaging at all. Just letting them go by. And I think that was more Archer's gesture there, saying, come on, play. Here he bowls another short ball down the leg side.
Bit of kidology, perhaps.
102 for 2. I think we're going to see Azhar have a complete rush of blood, which is what it would be, to fall for this. There's only 2 men, really, you'd say were in front of the bat, because short leg might be just. And the man at deep square leg might be just because they have to be, or it would be a no ball. But there's an extra cover and a mid-wicket, otherwise that's it. Archer on his way, runs in, bowls short. And Azhar just nods the head. And through it goes again. And who's going to give up first? That's the question. I don't think Azhar will.
No.
It's a very strange tactic being employed by England here. Going to go round the wicket now. You wonder how they're reckoning they're going to get him out.
Well, it's got to be a
Caught somewhere,
yeah,
but I wonder which one, which is the sort of key position. Archer goes round the wicket, bowls, and Azhar gets up on his toes, plays a rising ball this time, round about rib height, armpit height, down into the ground, is picked up at short leg.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure what the form is here. I mean, they're looking for that short leg who's a little bit deeper, perhaps just to fend one off to him. Or, well, I think what they're asking is for him to have a bit of a dart at it and get a top edge hook or mistimed hook somewhere.
Well, it looks rather like it. Archer again runs in, bowls short. Oh, he does go for it this time.
Oh, that's hurt him.
He has hurt him because I think he's got some bat. And then I'm afraid it seems to have. I think we might have seen a cricketing cannon here. Tuffers?
Yeah, he's got the chest pad on, I can see, but he's sort of bottom edged that into his right hand side of his rib cage, which will hurt.
I thought it got him in the box. It has.
Oh, I got him in the box.
Yeah.
Oh, so he's bottom edged it into the box. Yeah.
He has.
Oh, well, that'll sting.
It certainly has done. And he's wandering round. And I think he's okay, but he's just
standing 8.
obviously taking a little bit of while for the pain to go.
By the looks of Stewart there, I don't think he's going to be bowling.
It doesn't look desperately keen.
He doesn't. He's got a long sleeve sweater on and he's just sort of sauntering about.
102 for 2. And
yes.
The replay.
Yeah, that's
Not nice.
No.
So he's at the non-striker's end, and now we're focusing on Jimmy Anderson again. He's going to bowl to Babar Azam with one slip. Anderson's on the way, and he bowls, and that's pushed away. Comes off a thick outside portion of the bat. Bracey Fields at point. So that's the 7 balls. So presumably he could equal it by getting it.
Yes.
This ball.
Yes.
He walks very slowly back indeed. Thoughtful. Ball thrown to him by Broad. Because he could have spared all this agony if England had caught the catches off him. Babar on strike. Anderson's on his way. He's there and he bowls to him, squares him up a little bit. It's just pushed away into the offside. Again fielded by Bracey.
So that goes now. That's gone.
That's gone. He's not tearing in. He's not looking like a man who's absolutely hunting down this wicket. He's just running up rhythmically, and I'd say bowling within himself, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
Cameramen are ready for the moment.
Yeah, they're all.
In comes Anderson from the far end. He's there and he bowls, and that's played across the pad out to mid-wicket by Babar.
Must feel a bit of pressure on him because James Anderson can see all these cameramen sort of lurking around and everything. He's just going, I just want to get it. And then all the fuss will be done and I can sit back tonight with my feet up and a glass of red wine or something.
Move on to 700.
Yes, well, why not?
102 for 2. Halfway through this over. Anderson's on his way. He's there and he bowls to Babar, who plays a nice shot here off the back foot. Broad's after it, running out towards that deep cover boundary. Long strides. He should get there in time because I suspect the outfield is pretty sluggish. And they come back for 3 runs. Nice shot that.
That would have got the ball even damper.
Yes.
As it's been hit to the boundary. So much rain we had So that's not going to be great fun. And all that work that they've been doing to try to get it reverse swing has probably gone out the window now as well.
Nice shot, that.
Yeah, beautiful.
That was only fractionally short.
Classy, and Bubba.
So Azar on strike on 30. Anderson comes in from the far end and bowls for him one that keeps it a little bit low. But Azar defends, plays the ball out to Burns at cover. 105 for 2. Anderson just walks back, looks focused. I say he's not tearing in.
No, bowling with it himself.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, just perhaps trying to get that line and length, as you say, trying to hit that front pad.
Here's the last ball of the over. Anderson's on his way, bowls to Azar. Again, keeps a little low. He plays him across the pad. That's the danger.
Yeah.
But he got plenty of bat on that one. But that's where Anderson is hunting, except he's now going off by the look of it, because there's somebody coming on, and Anderson appears to be leaving the field. Off he goes. So that's a bit of a mystery. He's running off.
Change of boots.
With a suggestion of urgency there.
Oh, he might have caught short.
He might be. He's doing 2 steps at a time, so he's got to be careful. He's going all the way up to the top. That was quite a hasty retreat, wasn't it?
It was. Looked reasonably urgent.
Yeah, he's going into the dressing room.
Well, I hope he's not. He pulled a muscle or something.
I don't think he's done that, because he...
Or shoulder or something, or rib or something.
He went off at some speed. 105 for 2. So who's on the field now? Let's have a look. Not sure who's left. Jack Leach is still here. In goes Archer then. That's very well stopped by Bracey, who's the main fielding substitute. He's at short leg.
Mark Wood's come up.
Oh, Mark Wood's on, is he? Yeah. Oh, there'll be some noise then, because he's normally a bit of a chirpy character on the field. Oh, yes, he's way down there at long leg, is he? Looks like it. Fine leg, really, that is. 105 for 2. And Archer wheels round, short leg crouching. In he goes, bowls another short ball. Wide of the off stump, which Bubba completely ignores. And strolls off towards short leg. Conversation between the batsmen now.
Suppose you've been missing your dogs, John, haven't you?
Oh, yes.
You're going to be looking forward to seeing them?
Oh, yeah, very much. Nice walk tomorrow.
Oh, yeah.
Fresh air.
Will they be up for you tonight?
They will. Very, very excited. I think they've been told. Archer's going over the wicket. And I think I can see Jimmy Anderson coming back down the stairs again. In goes Archer, bowls another bouncer.
Yep.
And Bubba just dips the head. All taken by Butler. So maybe it was a change of boot or something.
Yeah. Looks like a shirt, perhaps. Something not quite right. But seems okay now, which is good news.
Walking slowly down the steps. Inevitably the camera on him. Whatever he's doing at the moment is on the camera. He is the story. In goes Archer and bowls short, and that's pushed firmly back towards him. It didn't come off the middle of the bat, I don't think, but Don Bess has got a chase here down to our level. There's a rather nasty damp patch there earlier, but he's negotiated that one. And that was probably 3. I was watching Bess. Is that a 3? Thank you. Andy, 108 for 2. So 202 runs behind. England haven't taken a wicket in this little session so far, which is 42 overs, but they could finish the game after 27. And Archer will bowl over the wicket. As on the strike, there's a leg slip now, backward short leg crouching there. There's Archer's on his way, bowls, and back goes Azar. Archer fields that in the follow through. 1 ball left in this over. And then we're back on Jimmy Watch again. It almost looks as if he isn't enjoying the attention.
Well,
you know what I mean?
Yeah, I do know what you mean. Yeah, I mean, sometimes, you can feel that sort of little bit of extra pressure, and the eyes are on you.
Yeah. Archer's on his way, bowls short and flicked away down the leg side, and Wood will field that. He'll throw it back, and then he will leave the field, I imagine, because that's the end of the over. And sure enough, he walks off. Jimmy Anderson walks past him, and
he's never been a big sort of, he hasn't particularly liked the attention, has he? He's just played cricket, you know what I mean? I enjoy playing with cricket, and I enjoy winning from his side.
Just looking at him, it looks as if he's just not really enjoying the fact that he knows that everybody's talking about him.
Yeah.
Everyone's expecting him to take this wicket.
Yeah.
And it might not happen. It might not happen.
I bet he wished he had a new ball in his hand.
Yes. The floodlights are on.
Here we go. Come on.
109 for 2. Azhar Ali on strike. And Anderson from the far end runs towards us, and he bowls outside the off stump. Bit of extra bounce there this time, as Azhar allows that to go through. 109 for 2. There's gardening going on up at the far end by Babar. Bit surprised the floodlights are coming on because there's some blue sky at the moment. But, no sun. But all the lights coming on in unison. 109 for 2. And Anderson moves in, bowls the right-handed Azhar.
Oh!
Edged it, he's caught! He's caught at slip. And Jimmy Anderson becomes the first fast bowler in the history of the game to take 600 wickets. He's done it. He could easily have done it earlier. So many catches were dropped off him, but Joe Root was not going to drop that. And I saw Root last night as he walked past. Said, "What are you going to do?" He said, "We'll get him there." And he's taken the catch that has done so. And he's showing the ball around, well, to nobody. But he's got a big smile on his face. That's better. Sweeps back his hair. And he's got there. He's done it. 600 wickets. And he can relax. And everyone can relax.
Well done.
Just some extra bounce outside the off stump, and Azhar, well, he looked as if he tried to run the ball towards third man. He's out for 31. But
great
the focus,
delivery.
the story is on, obviously, Jimmy Anderson, who's just had a proper hug there from Mark Wood.
Yeah.
And they're going to have a drink. And, thank goodness. Well, he looked towards the heavens.
Yeah, well done, Jimmy Anderson. Massive smile.
Yeah.
I'm glad it went to Joe Root because he snaffled that one and he shows the ball. And I'll tell you something, what a great way to get it. Caught first slip from a delivery that bounced just outside of the off stump and sort of lifted at Azhar Ali and took the edge on a flat pitch, you know, and with an old ball as well. I mean, that just shows the mark of the man. Well bowled, James Anderson.
Yeah, well,
600.
That is so good, and for all of us who've had the pleasure of watching him bowl all these 17 years and all the interviews that we've done with him and marvelled at his skill and the improvement in his skill. That's the thing, the hard work that he's done. His parents, his dad, we know pretty well. He's often around, and that's great to see that. That really is a real celebration. Brilliant bowler.
Yeah.
And so fit. Worked tirelessly at his game. And he's on the way now to bowl to the new batsman, who is Asad Shafiq. And that's played away out to extra cover. And there's no run, and he can just go...
Yes.
And breathe.
And relax. Yes. It's funny how milestones can weigh you down a little bit, and it was becoming a little bit visible, wasn't it? Not on just James Anderson, but the England fielders as well. But thankfully, Root, he's managed to catch his mate at the catch.
Anderson moves in, bowls, and that's edged as well, but along the ground and down to the vacant third man. It might go all the way. Braces in pursuit. He should just get there. He does. He slides over the damp grass, scoops the ball back, and Asad Shafiq's off the mark with 3.
Well, it was written in the stars, wasn't it?
It just felt like it was going to be his session. This session has been created.
You said it.
Just for Jimmy.
You called it, John.
Well, it just seemed that this game could have been abandoned at 2 o'clock if the umpires were minded to have done that, but they've stayed, and it's given Anderson that milestone and the opportunity for the milestone. He's, of course, has reached it all by himself, but that's brilliant. 600 wickets at an average of 26.77. And in he comes now, and he bowls, and Babar plays a little around that pad. Sibley fields. All the photographers have vanished. They're all sending their pictures.
And how many balls did he miss it out by then? How many balls did he miss it out by? 6, 7, 8?
I think yes, 6. I think. 6.
He won't mind.
He won't mind, no. Well, he might do a little bit.
112 for 3. Here's the last ball of the over. Anderson moves in and he bowls, and Babar runs that away by playing it late again. Down to the deep gully fieldsman. That's the end of a memorable over. And, well, that was worth everybody staying down here to watch that and record that and to enjoy the moment. Well done, Jimmy. 112 for 3. Shane Warne, I can see applauding up there. Andrew Strauss as well, up there on the balconies. And that's a wonderful moment. Tuffers, some thoughts from you.
Yeah.
Isha Guha is coming in here.
Well, fantastic. James Anderson, say 17 years, charging in, trying to get wickets for his country. He's done brilliantly. And 600, what a milestone. That is not, as you say, not only is that a lot of wickets, but that's a lot of cricket, a lot of tours, a lot of hours in the gym, a lot of hours in the nets. You know, that just doesn't come about. So congratulations, James Anderson. Been a fantastic bowler for England.
Jofra Archer continues from the northern end to Azad Shafiq, batting the ball to the offside off the front foot. Heads to extra cover, no run.
What do you think about that, Isha?
Well,
I saw you lurking in the background there.
It's just an incredible moment, isn't it? 33,712 balls it took him to get there. That's a lot of pain for a fast bowler.
Not a lot.
In his 156 test matches, Archer past the umpire. Shafiq drives to mid-off. Stuart Broad position there, comes around to collect the ball. What a moment it will be for him as well. His great mate, who he now tosses the ball to, James Anderson. What a feeling. He removes some sweat from his forehead, gives the ball a bit of a shine. And we were all wondering whether it was going to happen, in this test match. The threat of bad light, rain, drop catches as Archer is at the crease bowling to Shafiq, who solidly defends to extra cover again, no run.
Well, the cricketing gods, they just don't give things out willy-nilly, you know. You've got to go through a little bit of heartache to become the only seam bowler to get 600 wickets.
And he did. You think about his career, 2003 was his first test match at Lord's. Mark Vermeulen, his first test wicket, picked up a fifer in that game as Archer is past the stumps to Shafiq, who allows the ball to pass through to Jos Buttler. A good length delivery outside that off stump.
Never got me out. one of the names not.
How many times did he play against you?
Well, I don't know. Once or twice, I think. Probably didn't bowl at me. But, I mean, he was a very young chap there, and Aggers was just saying, the hairstyles that have gone through, the action changes that have gone through. But then again, he's been playing for 17 years.
Jofra Archer with braided hair, bowls short to Shafiq, who just ducks underneath it, through to Buttler. Yeah, what do you think about, was it blonde streak he had?
Red.
And then he went red. Oh, it was red streak.
Well,
he went red streak. He was trying to copy
tips.
Kevin Peterson, wasn't he?
I think it was a bit red tips.
Red tips.
Yeah, I think
he went
that.
blonde once, a bit like Gunther from Friends.
That's right.
He's had the salt and pepper look.
Yeah. Skunk.
Bit of hair dye and the jet black look. As Archer runs away from us to Shafiq, turning it off his hips to mid-wicket, no run. That's the end of the over. James Anderson will continue from the pavilion end, 112 for 3 then.
Yeah, it's been sort of like a comfortable shoe for the last 10 years, isn't it? Nice pair of shoes that just fit nice, turning up and commentating on James Anderson. You know, he's always made something happen, especially in English conditions. It's been a joy, hasn't it? I mean, I just remember some spells at Lords and everywhere. But just, some absolute master classes, isn't there? Absolute master classes.
So skillful, incredible control with the ball in his hand. Yeah. The ability to swing the ball away in wobble seam, reverse swing as he approaches the crease now. Tucked off the hips from Babar Azam outside. The leg stump down to fine leg for a single.
And then 12. And then just got one just to leap off a length a little bit, which is sort of nice, isn't it? Just, where did that come from?
Yeah, just reminding us all that he still has it at the age of 38.
I can still bend me
back. In
the
last innings, yeah.
Brilliant. Really happy for him.
It's now just moving his mark, moving it slightly further forwards. As he's got 2 slips in position, 2 men in catching in front of the wicket. As he's in again now to Asad Shafiq, clipping it down to fine leg. Zach Crawley diving to his right to collect the ball. They'll sprint back for 2. As Shafiq moves to 5, 115 for 3 then. Trailing by 195. But for England now, it's really, can they get these wickets in the time left in this game? Just looking at these celebrations, a big hug between James Anderson and Joe Root. Signals to the dressing room and the balcony, signals to the broadcasters as he's past the stumps, bowling to Shafiq slightly fuller as he covers the ball and defends to Dom Sibley, who's at a short catching mid-off. Well, it's just going back to the start of his career, 2003. And then he tried to change his action, didn't he? And that caused a few problems.
Yeah.
Gave him a few injuries, and then he went back to how he'd always bowled.
Yes, I think he changed his action because of the threat of oncoming injuries, wasn't it?
As he bowls now to Shafiq, who allows it to pass outside the off stump.
Yeah, I think it might have been Troy Cooley who was just sort of like thought to himself, hold on a minute, a bit mixed action here. You could do.
Kevin Shine, I think it was.
Yes. Okay. And it just didn't particularly work for him, but then just said, well, hold on a minute, I'm going to have to I've tried that and everything, I'm going to have to risk it because I'm not particularly bowling very well.
And it'd be good to get some key milestones along the way as Anderson bowls wide of the off stump to Shafiq, who again allows it to go through to Buttler.
Yeah, well, I've been looking at the breakdown of Anderson's career in terms of the progression and the improvement that he's shown through pretty much every phase of his career after a difficult start. His first 100 wickets came at an average of 34.8, took him 29 tests.
Here he is again now, wind behind him, bowls to Shafiq, back of a length, comes forwards and turns it down to fine leg once more as he's coming back quickly for the second. The throw comes in from Zach Crawley on the boundary there, and it's the end of the over, 116 for 3.
He reached 100 wickets in August 2008, reached 200 in December 2010. His 101st and 200th wickets came at an average of 28.7 in 26 tests. Then it took him another 2.5 years to get the next 100 at an average of 27.7, again in 26 tests. Then we see a pronounced improvement in the second half of his career. His next 100 wickets came at an average of 25.9 in just 23 test matches. And then from 400 to 500, he averaged 20.9 and it took him 25 tests. Since then he's averaged 22.3 for the last 100 wickets of his career in 27 tests. So his first 200 wickets came at an average of 31 and his last 200 wickets have come at an average of 21. And in terms of his economy rate, he was a very attacking bowler early in his career but would often get hit around a bit. His first 200 wickets, his economy rate was 3.3 per over, and the last 200 at 2.4.
As Archer continues from the northern end, bowls to Babar Azam on the back foot, defending to the offside. Yeah, it's a phenomenal achievement, and he's just got better with age, James Anderson. He's positioned at mid-on now. And Stuart Broad has the ball in his hand, is having a word to Jofra Archer now, walking back to the top of his mark. James Anderson just changing up the field on the offside. Don Best moving slightly further back at point as Archer comes in now to Babar Azam on the front foot, working to mid-wicket. It's a loud call of no as James Bracey comes in to collect the ball. No run. Mark Ramprakash has slipped in. A phenomenal moment, a magnificent achievement and a magical day here in Southampton.
Yeah, very good afternoon, everyone. Wonderful to be here and see this milestone. I was actually in Antigua when he got past Beefy's record.
Azam back and across, outside edges the ball down to third man. Dom Bess is charging after the ball as they come back for 2 and settle for 2 as Babar Azam moves to 14.
And that was such a great achievement. And of course, there were a lot of England supporters in the ground in Antigua. I mean, it's a shame that there's no crowd here, obviously, but the people in the ground, whoever there are here, and good to see the Pakistan balcony as well. Everyone was up and clapping, and I think just recognising we've seen some history here, haven't we?
The first quick bowler to reach 600 Test wickets is Archer. Comes in now to Azam, looking to play it to James Anderson, who comes in, throws down at the stumps, misses them as it goes through to Rory Burns at second slip. And no run is taken. 119 for 3 then, Pakistan. Joe Root's got a big grin on his face as James Anderson has got his hands on his hips at mid-on. Turns to have a look behind him before Archer circles at the top of his mark, flashes of orange from the soles of his shoes, bowls full to Babar Azam, squares up once more, looking to defend forwards. Hits the outer part of the bat and finds its way to extra cover, no run. How many overs left in the day, Andy?
33 after this one.
33. So they have 33 overs to take 7 wickets. Still a possibility. You just never know. As Archer takes the ball, gives it a bit of a shine, tosses it in the air before shuffling away, running away from us here in the commentary box to Azam, who leaves outside the off stump. A good length delivery. And that is the end of the over. James Anderson will continue. I can imagine how the players would have been feeling today. The threat of rain, not being sure whether they'd get out there, perhaps already thinking about getting home after what has been such a mad few weeks, you would say. It's been amazing to have the cricket on in the first place, 6 Test matches, but in such a condensed schedule, almost teasing them in a way. They could perhaps leave the ground early, but they are able to get out there, and the message from Joe Root would have been one last big push, and James Anderson with a milestone as he comes in again now, 2 slips in position. Asad Shafiq pushes the ball to the offside. Stuart Broad comes in, they scuttle 3 for 1. As Broad shapes to throw, but then doesn't leave his hand. So Shafiq to 8, 120 for 3. It's a slow stride to the top of his mark, James Anderson. 975 first-class wickets, 600 Test wickets. That's a lot of wickets. I wonder if he's like Glenn McGrath and can remember each and every one as Babar Azam sets himself up forward and pushes to the offside point, running around to his left to take the ball. They come through easily for 1 as Babar Azam moves to 15, 121 for 3. Shane Warne says that he can pick out a number, and Glenn McGrath will be able to tell him exactly who the dismissal was
surely.
And where it was.
Oh well, I think he may be unique in that regard. But what we have seen in this match is Jimmy Anderson operating with a new ball in the Pakistan first innings and doing what he does brilliantly in English conditions. And what we're witnessing now is what he's become really good at when he's had to go overseas and adapt to a dry, slow pitch.
And some bowls, nearly an inside edge onto the stumps, goes between bat and pad. Did he get something on it? I don't think he did. As it goes through, goes beneath the bat, in fact. Lack of bounce on that occasion, a good length delivery, but it just didn't get up at all to Shafiq as Anderson shuffles into his stride, bowls. Shafiq defends on the front foot to mid-wicket, no run. Sun just trying to break through the clouds. They're moving fairly rapidly. And how often would James Anderson have been able to take the ball with the wind, with Jofra Archer bowling from the other end into the wind? That's a nice touch, I think, as Anderson bowls to Asad Shafiq on the front foot, defending to that silly mid-on.
Are you suggesting that Jimmy shouldn't get choice of ends?
Well, when you've got a bowler that's bowling 90 miles an hour...
You've got to take wickets, though, haven't
extra.
you? It helps if you take a few wickets. There's 600 at the other end. I think he's probably earned the right over the wind.
I had that once in South Africa. There was a strong gale blowing, and it was myself and Aaron Brindle opening the bowling as Anderson past the stumps, and Asad Shafiq covers the ball top of off to the offside. No run is taken, and that is the end of the over. 121 for 3. She bowled a lot slower than I did. Then I thought, well, this is my opportunity, my one opportunity, because every time I opened with Catherine Brunt, I would never have choice of ends.
Yeah.
I thought I might have the wind with me. No, I have to bowl into the wind because they were afraid of her ball blowing backwards.
What did you learn from it, though? What did you learn from bowling into the wind?
That it's horrible when there's a strong gale, and then all of a sudden, the worst ones are when they stop midway through your delivery, and then there's no wind, because you're like putting all your effort into it, and then suddenly there's nothing. But if there's a consistent wind, then it's generally a bit easier because you know what's coming.
Right.
We're going to have a change of bowling at the northern end then. Dom Bess is coming into the attack in place of Jofra Archer. That is a severe change of pace. 0 for 27 from his 14 overs, bowling a couple to Dom Sibley. He's going to have a slip, deep point, extra cover, mid-off, mid-on, mid-wicket. Stuart Broad is heading out to the deep mid-wicket boundary, and widest short fine as Bess skips forwards. He bowls Babar Azam on the back foot, working it to that man at a widest short fine. I'm just trying to find James Anderson on the field.
Mid-on.
There he is. There's Bess. Bowls. Babar Azam lunges forwards, covers the ball, smothers it back down the track. Wearing his wristband, James Anderson, on his left hand. He's signalling to, I think, Mark Wood off the pitch is Bess. Bowls short, that's inside edge onto the floor in front of Joe Root. It beats him, and Root will have to chase it now to the boundary. In fact, it will be a 4. He's got a decent bit of wood on that, Babar Azam, looking to cut that away. It was there to be cut.
It was that wide line he showed that I think we saw Joe Root wanting Dominic Bess to bowl a little bit more of yesterday. The thing with that, if you bowl wide of off stump, you've got to be so good in terms of controlling your length. And as soon as you err, whether you're full or short, the batsman has the width and room to hit it through the offside.
Azam to 19, 125 for 3 Pakistan as Azam pushes forwards and pushes the ball to extra cover.
That 4 took Babar Azam past 2,000 runs in Test cricket.
He is a stunning player. Now the applause comes from the Pakistan balcony as Bess, through his action, bowls short and outside the line of off stump again. Babar Azam gets onto the back foot, turns it out to deep mid wicket to Stuart Broad, who comes about 30 metres off the rope to take the ball and sends the throw in. Babar Azam to 20 then, 126 for 3. Shafiq on 8. Babar on 20 as they come together in the middle, have a quick chat. One more ball left of this over as Shafiq is just marking his guard. Bess is slowly in. Ball slightly more flighted. And Shafiq comes forward to defend the ball. End of the over then, 126 for 3. Shafiq on 8, Babar Azam 20. Mark Ramprakash will say a few more words, and then in will come Dan Norcross.
Well, no surprise that England have gone to Dom Bess. There's still 13 overs left before the second new ball is available. And I was very interested to watch Jofra Archer this morning. Obviously, all the emphasis and spotlight has been on Jimmy Anderson, but with Jofra Archer, he started 2 or 3 overs bowling short balls, field spread, and I had a chat with Michael Holding last night about how best Jofra Archer is going to develop. And I've seen Mark Wood asked to bowl to those sorts of fields, short balls and then spread on the leg side, and Jake Ball in Australia, and I haven't really seen it pay off. And I think Jofra Archer has got to take a bit of responsibility here in terms of talking to Joe Root about how best he's going to take wickets at test level. Speaking to Michael Holding, he said he would always have at least 2 slips because of the pace he was bowling at. He'd always be trying to take the edge. Of course, he bowled a few short balls, Michael Holding. He might have a short leg, he might have a square leg or something, but never did he bowl to the fields that we are seeing reasonably often with Jofra Archer. Not just Jofra Archer, as I say, Mark Wood and Jake Ball. So, food for thought there, as I'm joined by Dan Norcross.
Thank you, Mark. Yeah, it is food for thought. I mean, it's been happening a little lately. I think of Neil Wagner, for example, is asked often to do that sort of a job. And you get these really bizarre fields, leg gully, square leg, and sometimes a backstop. And he's just wanging it in with a gully and no slip. And I don't know whether it's voguish at the moment or something. I don't know. I don't know what the thinking is behind it. The sun is really shining brightly into our room now. I will have to take a step back, I think. And Stuart Broad has come into the attack. He has just the 1 slip as well, for that matter. A short extra cover, backward point. A more conventional cover, about 10 yards in front of square. Wide mid-off. Mid-on, short mid-wicket, square leg. It's a lot of catching positions in front of the bat. As Broad is in, this first ball is defended nicely, push-driven, if you will, by Babar Azam up the pitch. There's no run. Thank you very much. I've just been handed something which may help me. Makes me look somewhat, I don't know, like a trucker or something. Nothing wrong with that, of course, but I don't. Do you put the hat on and then I suppose you have to put the headphones on over the top first, don't you? I will adjust all this shortly. Yes, I'm now about to be publicly humiliated. Right, here's Broad. In again to Babar Azam. And Babar lets this go by outside the off stump. You see the deadness of the pitch, the softness of the ball combining there. As the ball went through very low to Butler. He took it down by his ankles. And there's no run. News of the Australian Limited Overs Tour squad. It's flashing up on our screen. Some big names there. Hazelwood, Cummins, Labuschagne, if you like. Steve Smith, Mitchell Stark, David Warner. They're all coming. 3 T20s and 3 one-day internationals as Broad is in and Babar clips this away really nicely. He takes that off stump and just works it along the ground out to deep backward square leg. He's a fantastic player to watch, Babar Azam. It's one of the regrets, I think, of this summer as he picks up 2 more. 128 for 3. We haven't quite got to see enough of him. It's a 3-test series and one of the games was basically wiped out. And this one's been a stop-start affair, so they'll be back again before too long, Pakistan, and I think then we might be treated to the sight of a man at the peak of his powers, because he really is. He's got so much timing, Mark. It's really wonderful to watch. Broad is into him and he defends the front foot, a full ball out into the covers where Sibley does the fielding. There's no run. 128 for 3. If you're just joining us, it was worth it. It was worth hanging around, wasn't it, Mark, for 5¼ hours. It was really watching people slodge around and get really depressed by a boggy patch down by the groundsman's hut, and we were thinking, the wind and the rain and the gloom, but ultimately it was worth it to see Jimmy Anderson pick up his 600th wicket. It was the captain, Azhar Ali, who was his victim, as in comes Broad and holds a full ball on off stump, which is pushed into the onside. There's no run, and it was the England captain Joe Root who took a good sharp catch above his head. The 600th wicket of James Anderson's Test career, only the 4th man to reach that target, the first seamer. And you've heard all this from us constantly over the last 5 days. I just want you to spare a thought for all of the writers who had prepared those pieces days ago and were really scared that none of it was going to be used. Broad in, and Barber drives elegantly, but to the right of extra cover, the left of mid-off, who tumbles to his left to get to the ball, and there is no run. It's again a beautiful shot. You play that shot in the nets and you give yourself 4. End of the over, 128 for 3. Don't you?
What was the last net you had then?
The last net I had was about 2 years ago.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Didn't get awfully well. I gave myself a lot of thought.
Did you play a few? Yeah, I was going to say.
Mostly through third slip.
They all count, don't worry about that.
I'll give myself 4 if it hits the net.
Yeah, so, do you know, that's what I found surprising about COVID and my reaction to it was that as I've got older, I haven't really missed playing so much because, you know, you get worse and worse the older you get, especially the less you play. And then the fielding you start to resent and all of that. I really wasn't, you know... I started to fall out of love with playing the game as Dom Bess starts a new over. And Shafiq defends from the crease back up the wicket and there's no run. But, you know, really, really want to get back out and do it again. It's like when there was a thought that you couldn't and there was no recreational cricket. I was really disturbed by that. As Bess in with just a slip and a forward short leg. No other close catches, and reaching forward is Shafiq. He pushes it square of the wicket in the offside, and there's going to get a single as Root has to run round from slip to field. Bess is operating, he has done consistently with this deep point. I don't think there's any point in me going on about it anymore. That's the way he likes to bowl. As Bess turns and is into Barber, who drives elegantly through extra cover. This will run away to the boundary for 4. A lovely shot. He reached for one, a little bit wide of his off stump. Got right to the pitch of the ball and drove it languidly and elegantly along the ground, and he moves with that to 26, 133 for 3. A bit too wide that from Bess, perhaps.
Well, he's being asked to bowl wide. I mean, he is a young off spinner who's learning his trade at international level, and it's a tough old thing for him. I don't mind him having a bit of a insurance policy out on a man at the deep cover boundary, because the England captain has been wanting him to bowl outside off stump and try and attack those footmarks. So he's just had a field change.
Here he's in again, and that is again wide, and it's cut to that fielder, but it slightly evades the point fielder, and in the end the cover boundary man to run around to collect, and they get one more. Yes, so Rory Burns was taken out of mid-wicket and moved to backward point, saving 1, because, as Mark's saying, Bess is clearly attacking a wide line, trying to get the ball to turn back in sharply. Shafiq on strike to Bess. This is turned into the onside now. Shafiq spots the gap that's been left by Rory Burns' move and then just works it into the onside. Anderson has to go to his right at mid off the field, and they get one more.
Yeah, that's too easy. I mean, that to have no mid-wicket to an off-spinner, I mean, unless you're Saqlain Mushtaq bowling the Doosra, which Dom Bess is not, that's too easy to play with the spin through the leg side.
Again, reaching forward in defence is Babar Azam back at the wicket, no run. End of the over, not particularly effective one. 135 for 3. Asad Shafiq has 10. Babar Azam has 27. Maybe the deep mid-wicket could come in. I mean, there are a lot of runs to play with.
There are, and you could bring the deep mid-wicket in. And again, I think that to a degree, Joe Root is walking a fine line. He's trying to give his off-spinner some time to settle in and build confidence, but also asking him to attack. And that outside off-stump line means you can get hit both sides of the wicket relatively comfortable. So if he bowls outside off, both these players like to sweep and hit over the leg side, and with no man out, you know, it's a fairly easy shot. But as you rightly say, if they're looking to make something happen, it's got to be now, sooner rather than later. So why not bring up the deep mid-wicket and see if you get a bit of a reaction? And talking of reaction, I was just wondering what format you would prefer. You were talking
now?
About... Yes, you.
Oh, T10, I think.
Yeah.
It's less time to field.
Coloured clothing. You like coloured clothing, don't you? I mean,
I quite like it, yeah.
Does sense. Yeah.
I've played in orange coloured clothing in a charity game once, and I really did enjoy that. Broad in, and it's a thick inside edge which rolls back onto the pad of Shafiq as he played a forward defensive shot, and it just plops down in front of him. Yeah, I mean, in my youth, I liked the full-on 100-over games in the Surrey Championship, you know, where first side were normally about 55 overs sort of thing.
And your role in the side?
My role in the side was captain and first slip, and then floating batsman that would go anywhere, that, you know, because captains don't get to choose what they do. you get something like, if there's somebody who's good and you need to keep them sweet, and it's Broad in, and Shafiq defends back up the wicket, a full ball, there's no run. You find yourself, you've got this kid, and you know that if he bats where he probably ought to bat at 6, he might not come next week. So you let him go in at 3 like he's requested.
Man management.
That sort of thing.
Excellent.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing I would draw the line at was bowling. That doesn't suit my temperament.
You didn't fancy a bowl?
No.
Right.
No,
okay.
never fancied a bowl, except when I was very young. But once I got to about 14 or 15, I recognised I preferred the more languid aspects of cricket, the sort of waving your arm about, that sort of thing.
What brand of cricket did your team play then?
Attritional, slow, boring cricket. As Broad is in, Broad in defence comes Assad, plays it square of the wicket, there's no run. My favourite player in my team, the one that I would pick all the time, the son of a South African test player called Fellow Smith. And he was very irascible. He's now scores at Lords.
Really?
And he's the sort of bloke who, he won't forgive me for saying this, but he's essentially a dobber. And as a captain, I loved having a dobber, because you'd bowl him 28 overs on the spin.
Give you control.
Total control, same field set every time, get through the overs in about 2 minutes. You get off the park quicker and they haven't scored very many runs. That was my sort of preferred. Broad in, full again, and then well defended up to mid-on by Shafiq. He's showing no particular desire to get on with it, and which I appreciate, actually, in his batting.
Yes.
My finest achievement in a cricket field was to score 6 in 96 minutes when I was 11 and a half,
really?
to save the crucial derby match between Dulwich College and Dulwich College Prep School. And that was the template, really, for my cricketing exploits.
Fantastic. Well, you adapted to the conditions and situation.
You're too kind. Yeah, I couldn't get it off the square. Yeah. Broad's in. Shafiq again defends, but finds a little gap on the offside, and they scamper through for a quick single as a throw comes in from Burns, who ran to his left at cover, and the throw is backed up. 136 for 3. No real troubles here for the batsman at all. The sun is out, the ball is soft, the pitch is flat, but England are toiling away because they'd like those 7 wickets.
Yeah, I was just thinking that, the Pakistani batsmen, I mean, it's never easy when you're playing for a draw, because you kind of lack a purpose, but both these players have gone about their business very well. They've rotated the strike very well. Assad has still looked quite busy looking for the singles, even though Pakistan essentially just have to bat out the remaining overs.
Affects the rhythm of the bowlers, I suppose. That's what we'll be thinking. Broad in to complete the over, and that's played beautifully off the back foot by Barber into the ground, but straight to Bracey, the substitute fielder, who's still out there for Ollie Pope, and there is no run. End of the over. I think some drinks are being brought out. Some drinks are being brought out. 136 for 3. That gives me the opportunity. We're talking about milestones, obviously, because of Jimmy Anderson 600. I'll come to you in a sec, Andy. But there's a chap here who turned 60 yesterday, which is quite a milestone. I met him out in Australia. He's a mad cricket fan. Followed England around in that rather tough Ashes series. England lost 4-0. By the name of Andy Walker. And he turned 60 on Monday. And so he has become a sexagenarian as of yesterday, which is a terrific achievement. Since we're talking about 60s and 600s, I thought that would be appropriate. So congratulations, Andy. Well done.
Congratulations.
For making it. He's spent the day having a Michelin-starred lunch in Torquay, so he's having a fine time of it. Andy, you were poised.
I've been looking at the CricViz data for Jimmy Anderson's home summers, and quite interesting things. He's not had the most spectacular statistical summer, 15 wickets, average 26, but he's bowled a higher percentage of balls that would have hit the stumps this summer than in any other summer of his career, discounting the 3 overs he bowled last year before getting injured. So counting only summers in which he's played a reasonable amount of cricket, he's bowled a higher percentage of balls defined by the CricViz data as good line and length. He's bowled his second fullest length in terms of the average length that the ball has bounced of any of the summers he's bowled, and in terms of speed, he's averaged 134 kilometres an hour this summer, which is his quickest since 2014. In the previous 4 full summers that he'd played, he'd not averaged over 131 kilometres an hour. So quite interesting. He's also swung the ball a lot less, which may well be to do with the fact that players have not been allowed to use saliva on the balls, possibly something to do with the conditions as well. So he's adjusted his bowling maybe because of that, and bowled in a slightly different way and targeted the stumps more than he has earlier in his career. So it highlights his adaptability that we've seen through his career as it's evolved through different phases of his bowling.
That speed, I suppose, will partly be a correlation with the length. If you get a bowl fuller, it'll clock quicker, won't it, than a shorter ball, because it won't have been dragged back by the surface.
A little fuller, but still sort of 3 kilometres an hour, or 3 kilometres an hour quicker than he's averaged over the summers 2015 to 2018.
Mark, you've seen matches here in both bubbles now, Old Trafford and GS Bowl, and that's part, again, I think, of maybe the approach that England have taken, the approach certainly of Broad and Anderson have taken. Is it to do with the surfaces we've got? You know, it's not Trent Bridge where he particularly likes to bowl. Lords, Anderson particularly likes to bowl. Old Trafford hasn't been that profligate or prolific, I should say, at Old Trafford, has he?
Yeah, look, those are fascinating stats, you know, and I think he has run in harder this summer. I think due to the fact that, you know, England have played their 4-seamers and they're asking them to run in, perhaps bowl slightly shorter spells and rotate them a little bit more in conjunction with the use of the spinner. I think the wickets have been good, certainly the one at Old Trafford and this one here, so the first and third test matches against Pakistan, very dry at the outset, and you have seen England operate, particularly Broad and Anderson, at times when the ball is older, to fields that you would see probably in the UAE or in Sri Lanka, which is these men on the drive and people in front of the bat. So they've had to be versatile, and often when they do that, they actually go straighter, more stump to stump, looking to bring the ball back into the right-handers and looking for the bolds and LBW. So that probably, gives an indication.
The UAE comparison is spot on, and that's exactly what it sort of looks like. Oh, Mark, you're having to leave.
I'm so disappointed.
Oh, well, I'll see you later. Bess is in, forward in defence comes Asad Shafiq. There's no run. We've got to have a snooker rematch, and I've got to let you beat me at dance. And now you can watch the Jimmy Anderson 600th wicket on the BBC Sport website or app now. Go and watch. Fill your boots. As Don Bess is in. Shafiq just defends into the onside, but backward a square, so he can get a single. Just tickled it round the corner of the front foot, which will annoy Bess because he's let Asad Shafiq off strike. He moves to 12, 137 for 3, and you can read a special tribute written by Radio 1 host Greg James, who of course is on Tailenders podcast with Jimmy Anderson, and there's a review of his career by Stefan Schemmelt, our very own. As Bess is in, next ball driven off the inside half of the bat to Burns at short mid-wicket. Ebony Rain from Brent has joined us. Hello, Ebony.
Hello. Also, you know, when you're in the 600 club, you got cool mates, right?
Cool mates, like Anil Kumble and
but I mean,
Shane
like
Warne and
Greg
Clara.
James is...
Oh, Greg James, I see. Clipped into the onside again, but straight to Bracey on the bounce. There's no run.
That's when you know you made it. All your big mates are coming out. Felix White, the Maccabees, the Tailenders crew. Don
Bess in. It's short and wide and cut into the offside, but with no timing, surprisingly, by Babar Azam. He stays on 27, 137 for 3. He does have... It's normally glorious to watch, Babar Azam, and he's been good today so far. Bess in again and comes forward in watchful defence, plays it out to mid-wicket. There's no run. Burns does the fielding. Why don't we make a change? I'm not running away from you, Ebony. I just think, Atif, he's got Babar Azam to watch, and I think Atif Nawaz should be allowed to fill his boots. Yeah. So some words from you. Ebony Rain from
Fair enough. One thing, I mean, I don't know if you guys have said it prior to me being on, but I just feel with Babar Azam, today is an important innings. He's, come over in this summer, and you would have thought he would have knocked out a century, maybe even 2. He has that class and that ability. And we've seen 2 innings, really. I think he got a 69 and a 40 odd.
47 here, very good innings in difficult conditions in the previous test.
But I just think if he sees this home, then he's had a solid tour, right?
Absolutely, he has. Hello, everybody. Joe Root is coming in for a bowl, which tells you a little bit something about the indication of this game. In comes Root, and he bowls to Asad Shafiq, who blocks for no run, 137 for 3. Pakistan 173 runs behind England still. Yes, a good chance for these guys to spend some time in the middle as once more forward in defence is Azhar Shafiq for no run. Babar will have one eye on the T20s. He's one of the few members of this squad who's in that T20 squad as well, so he'd like to spend some time in the middle just ahead of that for sure. As in comes Joe Root once again, short this time and cut nicely into the man sweeping in the covers. That's Stuart Broad out there. They take a single, which will bring Babar Azam on strike. He's got 27 from 55 so far. So, always a pleasure to watch Babar Azam live as in comes Joe Root once again. It's turning delivery. There's a bit of turn there for sure. Just held up in the surface as well. Babar pushes it into the onside for no run.
Yeah, I was going to say, got a little bit of grip, didn't he?
Yeah. In he comes once again, Joe Root. This time a little bit fuller, and Babar gets underneath that and smashes it over long off. All the way. I think it's gone beyond the boundary. No, just one bounce into the boundary, and that's four runs for Babar Azam. A bit of intent shown from him, and also maybe a little bit of kind of putting the part-timer in his place. Is there something a little bit of that about it, Ebony?
They're so good, isn't it? It's just a little dance down, but kind of authoritative. I'm going to whack you because you're the part-time spinner.
Let's see how Joe Root responds. He's got a slip in place and a short leg as well. Attacking field. Mid-on and mid-off are both up. Mid-on is slightly deep, but still in that single saving position. Got some cover deep in the leg side and in the covers as well. So now Babar awaits as Joe Root clears some debris from the seam of the ball. He comes in and bowls a fuller delivery, which Babar is much more respectful of forward in defence, and that ends the over. 142 for 3.
I just noticed after getting whacked over the top, the next delivery was 57 miles an hour, fired in, no chance of getting underneath that. Yeah, still a few games to be played.
Yeah, it's important for the Pakistan players to just spend some time out there in the middle as well, just to get a bit of confidence. They will play some cricket again very soon. They'll have a sort of a 2 to 3 week turnaround before they play Zimbabwe at home, so they'll be very keen to just spend that time in the middle, build a little bit of confidence. They haven't had a chance to bat a lot in these 3 test matches. They've been robbed of a few opportunities by weather and circumstance, so they'll be keen to get in some practice in the middle.
I like the style as well. They're not sort of just digging in right now, are they? You know, a couple of shots, rotating the strike. Just cricket with a bit of purpose. I like it.
Yeah, absolutely. Mind you, if a couple of wickets fall, we might see that intent change a little bit, as in comes Dom Best this time. A bit quicker onto the bat of Azhar Shafiq, who cuts it into that vacant region at third man. The fielder from deep in the covers will come round and they will take 2. Asad moves on to 50. Pakistan 144 for 3. Yeah, I mean, at the moment they seem a little bit relaxed, and you know, obviously the pace is off the ball and they've got the 2 spinners, and traditionally Pakistanis good against the spin, so they can relax a little bit and play the game at the pace that they want to, rather than let the bowlers dictate the pace. And yeah, so we're just taking a little break as Azhar Shafiq ties his shoelaces. It's always quite hard to do that with your pads on, isn't it?
Yeah, it is a nightmare. Got to take the gloves off, take everything off.
I usually find if you ask the closest fielder to you nicely, they'll do it for you.
Tie them together.
In comes Dom Best now. Flights one up, and Azhar Shafiq forward in defence, no run. We've talked about this a lot today, Jimmy Anderson 600, and we'll talk about it some more because it is a very unique achievement. Before that, Andy, do you want to jump in?
I'm just wondering, are England trying to win this game at the moment?
It doesn't feel like it, does it?
In comes Dom Best again. A lot of flight given wide outside the off stump, pushed defensively to the covers for no run.
We were talking about that game with Sri Lanka in 2011 at Cardiff, and they bowled them out in 24 overs. There's still 25 overs left after this. Pakistan have historically the worst tail that's ever come to England.
In comes Dom Best once again, this time a bit fuller and defended on the front foot by Azhar Shafiq. And Mark Ramprakash talked about this a little bit earlier as well, about this angle they want Dom Best to pursue outside the off stump into the foot marks. Can that be a little bit overstated sometimes? Ebs, tell us after this delivery as Dom Best turns around quickly back into his bowling action, and once more the ball is defended back to him for no run.
There's 2 questions to answer here. First I'm going to finish this one, and then I'm going to come back to the best, which is another ball available in 8 overs, Andy? About that? Another ball available?
At 7 after this.
In comes Best now once more, defended on the front foot by Azhar Shafiq. End of the over, 144 for 3. It's Ask Ebony time. Come on then.
Ask Ebony time. So I don't know, it feels a bit moving to Joe Root that It's more like a let's just get through the overs rather than a let's charge in and do something different. Yesterday, for example, we saw, well, you wouldn't expect it to be Broad now, but you saw Broad doing the short tactic or something. You don't feel that there's an energy to try and take that, and you feel that if you open one up and then you get the new ball in 7 overs, all of a sudden the game could be blown open. So it does just feel a little bit like, you know, they got back out, Jimmy's got his wicket, which I'm sure they've all been desperate for, and now it just feels